Let me ask you something really simple. Did you use Google today? Did you scroll Instagram? Did you search for something on Amazon, watch anything on YouTube, check the weather, use a Maps app, or tap your card to buy a coffee? Of course you did. We all did. Now, here's what I want you to sit with for a second. Every single one of those actions generated data. Data about where you are, what you want, what you buy, what you watch, how long you look at things, what makes you stop scrolling, what makes you click, what time you wake up, and what you're thinking about before you go to sleep. And that data, your data, is being collected, packaged, analyzed, and sold right now, every day, without you seeing a single cent of it. According to a 2023 report by Statista, the global data economy is worth over $3 trillion. $3 trillion. And the overwhelming majority of the people generating that value, that's you, me, everyone watching this, receive exactly $0 in return. But here's what I want to show you today. That is starting to change. And the people who figure out what's happening right now and move early are going to have a very different financial conversation in 5 years than the people who don't. My name is Zucker. I spend way too much time thinking about how the digital economy is quietly redistributing wealth and how most people are on the wrong side of that transfer. If you're someone who feels like the system is designed to extract value from you rather than give it back, and you want to understand how to actually flip that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're going to talk about data, not in a technical way, in a money way, where it comes from, who profits from it, why the model is shifting, and most importantly, how some people are already getting paid for the exact same behavior that everyone else is doing for free. Let's get into it. Here's the thing. When most people hear the phrase, your data is being sold, they think about privacy. They think about creepy ads. They feel vaguely unsettled and then go back to scrolling. What they almost never think about is the financial dimension of it, the economic question underneath all of it. And the economic question is this. If your data has real monetary value and it does measurably verifiably, then why are you giving it away for free? Look, I get the counter argument. And I want to address it directly because I know you're already thinking it. Zucker, I get free services in return. Google is free, Instagram is free, that's the trade. And yes, technically that's accurate. You get a product, they get your data, everyone goes home happy. But here's what most people don't realize. That trade has become profoundly lopsided, and the scale of the imbalance is only now becoming visible. A study from the Human Economics Institute estimated that the average American's data generates approximately $2,000 per year in value for the platforms that collect it. $2,000 per person per year. What do you get in return? A free search engine, a free social media feed, free maps. Useful? Absolutely. Worth $2,000 a year? That's a conversation most people have never had with themselves, and now this is the part that matters. New models are emerging that are starting to return some of that value to the people generating it. Not all of it, not most of it, but some. And some consistently applied is where wealth building starts. Core explanation, how the data economy actually works. Before we get to how you get paid, I want to make sure the underlying mechanics are completely clear. Because once you understand how the machine works, the opportunity becomes obvious. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Data is the raw material of the attention economy. Companies like Meta, Google, and Amazon are not technology companies at their core. They are advertising companies. And advertising works, meaning it commands premium prices because it can be targeted. Precisely, personally, scarily, accurately targeted. That targeting is only possible because of behavioral data. Your clicks, your searches, your purchases, your locations, your social connections, your content preferences. The more granular and accurate that data is, the more a company can charge advertisers to reach you at exactly the right moment with exactly the right message. This is where the money lives, not in the apps, in the targeting. Here's a simple analogy. Imagine you're a fisherman. Your data is the map of exactly where every fish is, what they eat, and when they're hungry. That map is enormously valuable to anyone trying to sell fish. The person who owns the map, the platform, charges a premium to anyone who wants to use it. You drew the map. with your behavior, your time, your attention. But someone else owns it and charges for access. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The new model that's starting to emerge is called data ownership or data monetization at the individual level. The idea is simple. Instead of platforms owning your data and selling it without your knowledge, new systems are being built where you explicitly consent to share your data in exchange for direct payment. And this is already happening. It's not theoretical. There are companies operating right now today that pay individuals directly for their data. The platforms and models that are paying people now. Let me give you some specific examples because this gets abstract fast and I want to keep it real. Nielsen, the measurement company. Nielsen has been paying households to track their TV and internet behavior for decades. Their newer digital panels pay participants to have their browsing and app usage passively monitored. Participants earn gift cards and cash rewards, typically between $50 and $100 a year in exchange for allowing measurement of their behavior. Not life-changing money, but real money. For behavior you're already doing. Data marketplaces like Kadin and Datum. These are newer platforms, and this space is evolving fast that allow individuals to connect their accounts, share behavioral data, and receive payments directly. The amounts are still modest, but the model is real, and as more advertisers engage with these platforms, the economics improve. Survey and behavioral research platforms, companies like YouGov, Prolific, and user research platforms pay for specific data. Your opinions, your demographics, your spending, behavior, your reactions to products. The pay varies from a few cents to $20 or $30 per session, depending on the specificity of what they're looking for. Here's the honest math on where this sits today. If you're active across 2 or 3 of these platforms and engage consistently, you might generate anywhere from $200 to $800 a year. Not enough to retire on, but enough to cover a utility bill every month. Enough to add to an investment account. And this is the key point. Generated from behavior you were already doing for free. That last part matters more than the dollar amount. Because passive income at any scale from resources you are already expending is the foundation of a different way of thinking about your financial life. The psychology behind why most people ignore this. Now you might be thinking, if this is real, why isn't everyone doing it? Great question. And the answer is genuinely interesting from a behavioral psychology standpoint. There are 3 things happening simultaneously that keep most people from acting on this. The first is what psychologists call effort-reward miscalibration. Our brains are wired to evaluate effort against expected reward before we act. When the reward feels small, even if the effort is also small, our brain decides it's not worth engaging. $200 a year sounds insignificant compared to the mental energy of setting up new accounts and changing habits, even when that mental energy is actually minimal. The second is status quo bias. We default to how things have always worked. You've always given your data away for free. Changing that default requires active decision-making. And active decision-making requires energy. Most of us just don't bother challenging defaults that feel normal, even when the default is working against us. And the third is abstraction blindness. Honestly, this one is the most important. Your data doesn't feel like money because you can't see it, hold it, or watch it leave your account. If every time you Googled something, a physical coin left your wallet, you would be very motivated to understand where it was going and how to get some back. But because the transfer is invisible, the loss doesn't register. Here's the reframe I want to give you. And this is the shift that changes everything. Stop thinking about your data as a byproduct of your digital life. Start thinking about it as a resource like your time or your labor that has real value. And ask yourself the question that every financially literate person asks about every resource they possess. Am I using this resource optimally, or am I giving it away? The bigger opportunity, data as a lens on wealth building. Look, I want to be direct with you about something. The money you can make from passive data monetization right now, today with current platforms, is supplemental. It is not a wealth-building strategy by itself. I'd be doing you a disservice if I presented it as one. But it is a gateway insight, and gateway insights are where financial transformation actually begins. Because the person who understands that their attention, their behavior, and their data have economic value, that person starts to see the digital economy completely differently. They start to ask questions they never asked before. If my attention has value, how else am I giving it away for free? And how could I redirect it towards something that builds equity for me instead? That might mean building a content platform, a YouTube channel, a newsletter, a social media presence, where your attention becomes an audience. Your audience becomes an asset that generates income. That's the creator economy version of data ownership. You're not letting someone else monetize your behavior, you're monetizing it yourself. It might mean understanding affiliate marketing or building digital products, or recognizing that the skills and knowledge you use every day have market value if you package and distribute them correctly. None of these are complicated ideas, but they all start from the same shift, recognizing that you are not just a consumer of the digital economy. You are a producer of value within it. And producers historically earn more than consumers. Real dollar example. What a year looks like? Let me put some actual numbers to this so it doesn't stay abstract. Meet Jordan, 29 years old, regular job. Doesn't have a lot of extra time or money. But Jordan spends about 3 hours a week on their phone consuming content shopping, searching and scrolling, which is below average, by the way. Jordan spends one afternoon setting up accounts on 3 data monetization platforms, connects the relevant apps, adjusts settings, enrolls in a passive monitoring panel. Over the next 12 months, Jordan earns approximately $340 from passive data sharing. This is mostly from background app monitoring and occasional surveys that take 5 minutes each. Jordan takes that $340 and puts it into an index fund. That's not exciting by itself. But here's the thing. Jordan also does this next year, and the year after, and the year after that. Meanwhile, the investment grows. And Jordan, who now thinks about data differently, also starts a newsletter about a topic they actually care about. Within 18 months, that newsletter has a small but engaged audience and a modest sponsorship arrangement, bringing in an extra $200 a month. That's $2,400 a year from something that started with the realization that attention and data have value. The data monetization wasn't the strategy, it was the mindset shift that unlocked the strategy. Practical takeaways start here this week. If you want to take action on this, and I genuinely hope you do, here is exactly where to start. Step 1. This week, sign up for one legitimate data monetization or research platform. Nielsen, Digital Voice, Prolific, or YouGov are credible starting points with real track records. Take 15 minutes, set it up, let it run. Step 2. Calculate your data value honestly. Take your total monthly screen time hours, multiply by $2. A conservative estimate of hourly data value. That's roughly what your behavior is worth to platforms each month. Sit with that number, let it change how you see your attention. Step 3, ask yourself, where else am I producing value digitally that I'm not capturing? Do you have expertise someone would pay to learn from? An audience, even a small one, that you're not monetizing? Skills that could generate freelance income? The data conversation is really just the entry point to this bigger question. Step 4. Start directing a small portion of every passive income dollar, however small, straight into an investment account before you can spend it. $200 a year invested at 8% annually for 30 years becomes over $22,000. The amount matters less than the habit. The habit is the point. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. Every major wealth transfer in history has happened at the moment when a resource that was previously undervalued became understood. Land, oil, intellectual property, brand equity. In each case, the people who recognized the value early and positioned themselves accordingly captured enormous benefit, and the people who didn't kept generating that value for someone else. Data is that resource right now. Your behavior, your attention, your digital footprint, these are genuinely valuable. The only question is, who profits from them? The answer doesn't have to be only the platforms. That's the default. But defaults exist to be changed. You've already started changing it by understanding what's actually happening. The next step is acting on it, starting this week, starting small, starting before you feel completely ready. Because the best time to understand how your value is being used was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. If this video gave you something to think about, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of thinking every week. And drop a comment below telling me, What's the one digital resource you think you're currently undervaluing? I read every single one. See you in the next one.